I'm going to be using these beautiful pearl buttons. They're just about 1/2 inch wide. What I do is lay them out visually. You notice I put the top one close to the very edge of the top of the blouse, and the bottom one is not close to the bottom. I like a lot of space between the bottom button and the hem. Visually lay them out and then go back and see what the distance is between them, and of course you'll make all the distances exactly the same. But now I can take them away. I'm going to start the first buttonhole 3/8 of an inch from the top edge, 1/2 an inch from the edge. So now I've marked the very top of the buttonhole and I can put pins 3.5 inches apart. Straight pin goes in at the very top of the buttonholes. And now I'm making sure they're exactly the correct distance from the edge of the fabric, which in this case is 1/2 of an inch. To make a sample for the buttonhole, I'm taking a scrap of the fabric and folding it to have 3 layers like the facing. I'm going to start the buttonhole 1/2 of an inch away from the edge of the folded fabric as the extension is, and take the button and come down just a little below the button, and that's where I'll stop this buttonhole. We'll see if this is a good size, and if it's not, I'll make as many as it takes to get the perfect size. You want the button to be snug when it goes through, but not too snug, and you also don't want the buttonhole to be so loose that the button comes out easily while the garment's being worn. I'm embedding the needle at the top of the buttonhole, moving the pins to the edge so that the foot of the machine doesn't interfere. And I have to manually stop my machine and do the bar tack at the bottom and then go back up and do the bar tack at the top. This machine is close to 40 years old, so the newer machines have attachments or dials that you can use for different kinds of buttonholes. I'm putting a straight pin right below the top bar and right above the bottom bar. That way when I put my seam ripper in and slice through the fabric, it stops inside the buttonhole. It doesn't continue and create a hole in the garment. This buttonhole's a little bit too snug, so I'm going to make another one, about 3/16 of an inch longer than the button. Again, I'm going to take the straight pin, put right under the bar, and you don't really need one at the bottom if you stab the fabric above the bar. Slide it up to the straight pin and push your button through. This is a good size. Now I know the size of each buttonhole so that I don't have to deal with straight pins. Mark with a single thread the top bar of the buttonhole and the bottom bar. And I know that each buttonhole is exactly 1/2 of an inch away from the edge of the fabric. Women's garments button with the buttonholes on the right side of the garment, and men's usually open with the buttonholes on the left side of the garment. Another thing with buttons, it's traditional to use odd numbers. Somehow it just seems to have a better balance visually. I'm going to double check everything. And now to make my buttonholes. So pull out the basting threads. If they get stuck, then cut them. And now to open the buttonholes, just as I showed you before. And now to mark where the buttons go. I'm overlapping the right front with the buttonholes over the left front and aligning the center fronts. I'm taking a straight pin and stabbing it through the middle of that top button. Now the measurement between the buttons is the same as the measurement between the buttonholes, but I want the button to land in the middle of the buttonhole. So once I'm happy with the top button, I can move down the row, measuring 3 5/8 inches between each one and 1/2 of an inch away from the edge. So taking a double thread, running it through the beeswax and a good small knot at the end, I'm going to put my needle right where that straight pin goes in. That's the middle of the button. You can either go across making a little bit of an X, or you can go from hole to hole, up and down vertically or across. It's your choice. I'm not sewing the buttons terribly snug to the body of the garment. I'm leaving a little tiny bit of space so that the fabric that buttons over it will actually fit. It won't be too snug. And as you see on the back side, I'm trying to come through with the stitches close enough that they don't look sloppy. And then I circle the button around 2 or 3 times to reinforce it. So let's do this again. Put your needle right in where the straight pin is. These are up and down, not across. I'm going in twice into each hole. Go around 3 times, 4 times, and then take your needle to the back. You don't really need to knot it because once you've run it through once or twice, it will stay. And continue on down the blouse. These buttonholes are a little snug, so what I'm going to do is snip as close to that bar tack as I can. If I can snip just a little tiny bit more, the buttons will slide through a little more easily. And we have a blouse.